Today, we're gonna read Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. Ooh, I watched the movie Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs. They also made a sequel. I'm gonna watch it too. We were all sitting around the big kitchen table. It was a Saturday morning. Pancake morning! Yay, pancake morning! Mum was squeezing oranges for juice. Henry and I were betting on how many pancakes we could eat, and Grandpa was doing the flipping. Seconds later, something flew through the air, headed towards the kitchen ceiling, and landed right on Henry. There's a pancake on his face! Pancake on his face! After we realized that flying object was just a pancake, we all laughed, even Grandpa. Breakfast continued quite uneventfully. The other pancakes had landed in the pan, and all of them were eaten, even the one that landed on Henry. Why would they eat that? That night, touched off by the pancake cakes. Breakfast. Grandpa told us the best tall-tale bedtime story he'd ever told. Across the ocean, over lots of huge bumpy mountains, reefs, hot, scorching deserts, and one smaller ocean. The tiny town of Chew Swallow. In most ways, it was very like any other tiny town. It had a main street lined with stores, houses, and trees, and a garden around them. A schoolhouse, about 300 people, had some assorted cats and dogs. But there were no food stores in the town of Chew Swallow. They didn't need any. The sky supplied all the food they could possibly want. The only thing that was really different about Chew Swallow was its weather. It came 3 times a day, at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Everything that everyone ate came from the sky. When the weather was served, that's what they ate. And it never blew just wind. It rained things like soup and juice. It snowed mashed potatoes, and the wind blew in storms of hamburgers. Hamburgers! I want to eat the hamburgers. I'm saving the rest for you. No. Yummy. Hamburgers. The people could watch the report television this morning, and they would even have a prediction of the next day's food. When the townspeople went outside, they carried their plates, cups, glasses, forks, spoons, knives, and napkins with them. That way they would be prepared for any kind of weather. If they were leftovers, and they usually were, the people took them home and put them in their refrigerators in case they got hungry between meals. The menu varied. By the time they woke up in the morning, breakfast was coming down. After a brief shower of orange juice, a low cloud of sunny side up eggs moved in. By a piece of toast with butter and jelly sprinkled down for the time it rained milk afterwards. Yum! One day, frankfurters, already indoors, blew in from the northeast about 5 miles per hour. An hour. There were mustard clouds nearby. Then the wind shifted to the east and brought in baked beans. A drizzle of soda finished off the meal. Yummy! So good! I want to go to that town right now. Dinner one night consisted of lamb chops, becoming heavy at times with occasional ketchup. Periods of peas and baked potatoes were followed by gradual curing, with a wonderful jello setting in the west. Yum! The sanitation department of Chew Swallow had a rather unusual job for a sanitation department. Had to get all the food that fell on the houses and sidewalks and lawns. The workers cleaned things up after every meal and fed all the dogs and cats. Then they ate some sun, oceans with fish, turtles, and whales to eat. Wait, they can't eat human food. Why didn't they just give it to the humans to eat? To eat, nom 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 nom, to snack. Or me, I want to eat the cake. So good. I'm gonna eat so many slices. The rest of the food was put back into the oven. The soil would be richer for people's flower garden. Rich with food. Life for the townspeople was delicious until the weather took a turn for the worse. Spaghetti ties up, down. Record breaking, pasta falls, caused chaos. Traffic snarled on lower intestine street. One day there was nothing but gorgonzola cheese all day long. The next day there was only broccoli, all overcooked. There were Brussels sprouts and peanut butter with mayonnaise. Ew! And then there was pea soup fog. No one could see where they're going. Barely found the rest of the meal but got stuck in the fog. Fog! The food was getting larger and larger, so were the portions. People were getting frightened. Frightened stones blew up frequently. Awful things were happening. One Tuesday, there was a hurricane of bread and rolls all day long and into the night. There were soft rolls and hard rolls, some with seeds and some without. There were white bread and rye and whole wheat toast. Most of it was larger than they had ever seen bread and rolls before. It was a terrible day. Everyone had to stay indoors. Roofs were damaged. Sanitation department was beside itself. The mess took the workers 4 days to clean, and the sea was full of floating rolls. There was a storm of pancakes one morning. Pancakes. But there were way too big pancakes. I would just take a really big piece. I would just take a corner of the pancake and devour. Pancake covered the school. No one could get it off because of its weight, so they had to close the school. No! Lunch one day bought 15-inch cheese and jelly sandwiches. Everyone ate themselves sick, and the day ended with a stomachache. Cheese and jelly? Yuck! And they look so white. There was no for salt and pepper wind come by an even worse tomato tornado. People were sneezing themselves silly and running to avoid the tomatoes. The town was a mess. There was seeds and pulp everywhere. The sanitation department gave up. The job was too big. You couldn't go outside most of the time. Many houses had been badly damaged by giant meatballs. Stores were boarding up, and there was no more school for the children. So a decision was made to abandon the town of Chihuahua. It was a matter of survival. Nobody even took a giant donut with them. Did anyone even take a giant donut with them? Or a giant burger? Or a giant ice cream? Or a giant chip? Or a giant burger? Why didn't they take, or a giant pizza? Why didn't they take just one of the giant foods with them? People glued the giant pieces of stale bread sandwich style with peanut butter to the absolute necessities with them and set sail for a raft for a new land. Being afloat for a week, they finally reached a small coastal town. Welcomed them. The bread had held up surprisingly well for them to build temporary houses with themselves. The children began school again, and the adults all tried to find places for themselves in the new land. The biggest change was they had to make getting used to buying food at a supermarket. They found it odd that all the food was kept on shelves. packaging in boxes, cans of meat that had to be cooked. It was kept in large refrigerators. Nothing came down from the sky except rain and snow. The clouds were above their heads. They were not made of fried eggs. No one ever got hit by a hamburger again. And nobody ate a sky hamburger. And nobody dared to go back to chew and swallow what happened to it. They were too afraid. Henry and I were awake until the very end of the story. I remember his good night kiss. We woke up to see snow falling outside our window. Downstairs for breakfast a little faster, so we could go sledding with Grandpa. It's funny, but even as we were sliding down the hill, we saw a giant patch of butter at the top. Go smell mashed potatoes. It's weird. The end. Ah, what a great book. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe for more books.